Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to today's the first of today's 3 online classes. We're talking space science once again, which of course you know is the case because I'm here and because there is space happening in the background. That sentence is not grammatically correct, but you get the concept. I have been sad these past week or two because I have not been able to find the space helmet that I was using in all of the earlier episodes back through April and May. So I decided it's time to build a new one. And in the description for today's episode, I think I put in there, bring some building materials, bring some crafting materials. Cardboard is great. Cardboard is going to be the base for what I use for this today, but I've also used just really thick paper, like cardstock paper, poster board, anything that's kind of thick and you can bend it and mold it, but it won't just fall apart the first time you look at it, is useful for this kind of thing. I've got some scissors, 2 pairs of scissors, because I did break some one time while making these. I have pre-cut several strips of cardboard, and these are going to be useful. I'll show you how we're going to use these later on, but different sizes. There's some shorter ones and they're all exactly the same length. So there's no longer ones. There's just these medium-sized ones, but one big long strip, and this is what we're going to use to go around our head. So you want at least 1 or 2 strips that goes around your head with plenty of extra room. I have some markers. I can use these to decorate. I've got crayons because, come on, what's crafting without crayons? I love crayons. And plenty of tape, duct tape. This is good, tough stuff. I've got a black color and your kind of standard silver gray, which is just a cool color for space. And I got some of this as well because I had it laying around and might be useful. We'll see. I have a few larger pieces sitting around as well in case we need to cut extra pieces, extra strips. Let's learn a little bit about space helmets. Katya is asking, where is Diego? Yes, every one of these classes has started with that question. Diego is on vacation right now, so I'm going to, for the first time, make a helmet on one of these webcasts without him. I hope I do all right. I know that he's watching and taking notes. Every time I make a mistake on here, I'll see in my mind, he'll click his pen and start making a note. I'm just kidding. Everything I learned about this, I learned from him. So he's here with us in his teachings. Okay, so some of you are saying, I don't have the stuff. I don't have things to build yet. If you don't have materials with you to follow along today, that's totally fine. You are welcome to just kind of hang out here and go along with us as we build one here, and you can find materials later on and build it there. Or if you want to run and grab some stuff right now, that's totally fine. I'm just going to kind of talk as I build. I don't know exactly what we're going to talk about today, but we'll find out when we get there. I do have a few slides to go over with you guys. So first, we're going to talk about helmets and actual space helmets that are used in different parts and why they exist. If you don't have, I'll pop out of this real quick. If you don't have these strips pre-cut and you want to do that now, feel free to take the time to do that now so that they're ready in 5 or 10 minutes when we start actually building the helmet. Do be careful. Do be careful. Anytime I'm working with students with this on building a space helmet, I'm supervising them closely. I'm watching, make sure there's no fingers in the way, no one gets cut. Definitely ask your parents or another adult that's there for help if they're around. That's always great. If you have hot glue guns around and it's okay with your parents to use them, I love using a hot glue gun for this. I didn't have one today, so I'm only going to use tape, but hot glue is really cool for this kind of thing. All right, so space helmets, right? You need a helmet in space because space is space. It's a vacuum, meaning there is no air. There is a lack of stuff in that place. And if you are exposed to that, it's really bad news. We have, probably most of us on this webinar right now have seen Guardians of the Galaxy. And you see Peter Quill, Star-Lord, he goes out and he is exposed to the vacuum of space for like a minute. He goes out there and he takes off his mask and everyone's like, oh no, he's gonna die. And you see him, he gets all frosty and stuff like that. While Guardians of the Galaxy is not what you would call scientifically accurate, because it's fantasy, it's fiction, it's made up, there's actually quite a bit that they got correct in that scene. For one thing, yes, you would start to see frost forming because it's super cold, right? Also, he wouldn't die right away. He's out there for like a minute. And that's not good. It's not great. You're not going to feel good the next day, but you would survive that. Most likely, you would survive that. Just because you can survive something doesn't mean that you have to go through it. Space helmets are great for, not dying in space. There's a picture of a real one there. You're going to see on a lot of these, there's a super reflective surface or covering on the faceplate. And that's not an accident. So here you can see there's a couple pictures with the reflective covering. And then that picture on the right, you can see that the protective covering it's been kind of rotated up into the top of the helmet so that the astronaut doesn't have. That's essentially a super strong pair of sunglasses on him. And he can rotate it up and down in order to cover to shield his eyes, shield his face from direct sunlight, which, here on Earth, how many times have we been told, don't look directly at the sun, it will hurt your eyes? Yeah, that's true. We at least have an atmosphere protecting us. In space, it's even brighter. It's even more intense. It's more direct, and you can do some real damage. So they have that covering there on their space helmets to protect them from that very strong sunlight. There's another image from space. Dude's taking a selfie. I do not have any selfies that come anywhere close to this level of awesomeness. Here's another space suit. Here's another space helmet. This is a real suit. And this is what astronauts that are launching in the SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule, which we talked about in a couple of our webinars last week. This is what they wear when they're launching. They don't have that super reflective, protective sunglass covering on their helmet because this suit is not meant to go out into space. It's just meant to protect them if something were to happen to their spacecraft and they were to lose the atmosphere in the spacecraft. If there was a hole and all the air leaked out or into space or something like that, they would be able to survive in there for quite a while they repaired their ship and got the air pumped back in. But that's a really great looking design. It's clean, it's sleek. It looks like something I would want to wear. It looks good and it's functional. Here's another picture of that, and you can see that the face shield, the whole thing opens up. So now his face is just open to the air, which I imagine is pretty comfortable, or more comfortable than having it completely closed. And like, what if your eye itches? What if your nose itches? If you have the atmosphere in your capsule still, it's useful to be able to take that up and scratch your nose. And then obviously you're not going to do that in the vacuum of space. So if you're an astronaut and you are out in space on a spacewalk in a spacesuit and your nose starts to itch, then that's what happens. Your nose itches until it doesn't. So here's some ideas, and here's some helmets that other people have built that are more impressive than what we're probably going to do today. But you can see the whole thing is cardboard, and there's these cardboard strips that they've put together in different ways to form the frame of their helmet. Here's another one. They've done quite a bit more work on this one than I'm probably going to have time to today, but that looks really great. But you'll notice it is all cardboard. Thin strips cut together, glued or taped together, and then it looks like they, after all that, then cut out the eye holes specifically. Any Halo fans out there, you're going to recognize this as Master Chief's helmet. That is amazing. I would love to make a Master Chief helmet one day. Sarah in the comments is mentioning that Leia from Star Wars also survived in space. Yes, she did. Part of that was because she was using the Force to survive, but even without the Force, she would have survived, a minute or so in space. Longer than that, I wouldn't want to press it. You'll notice on this one here, there is a plastic shield at the front of this helmet. What this person used to create that was just an empty 2-liter bottle, like an old Sprite bottle or something like that, plastic 2-liter bottle. You can take that, cut it up, and it folds out really nicely to make a good shield. I don't have one of those here with me today, but I'm going to leave space in my helmet that I can add that in the near future if I want to. Let's see if we have anything else here. Ooh, here's another really cool one. This person they have outlined this part of their helmet with orange duct tape, which that looks really great. They have printed and cut out, and looks like they've pasted on there like a mission patch for a space mission. That is actually that's the mission patch from The Martian, the fictional movie where Matt Damon goes to Mars and gets stranded and has to figure out how to survive. That's the mission patch from that movie. And you can see up here, they have added like a little cylinder where they can insert a functional light on there. And it looks like, yeah, they've got lights on the inside of the helmet as well. That's some really great work there. I don't know how they would have made this bubble faceplate shield on the front. This is also all cardboard and paper. I can't imagine how long it took them to make this, but it is super impressive. And these cables here, it's paper or newspaper twisted up to look like a cable. That's incredible. All right, so what we're talking about here in making a space helmet is actually engineering. What is engineering? Engineering is the branch of science and technology dealing with designing and building things. That's it. It's actually, the basic definition of it is not complicated. If you have ever taken a Lego set and taken all the random pieces of Lego and said, you know what, I'm gonna build something new. I'm not gonna build the X-Wing that this is telling me to build. I'm going to build my own thing. You build your own ship. That's engineering. You designed and built the thing. Now, there are 3 parts to engineering. The first one is design, and then cut, and then build. Design, you have an idea in your mind. I am going to make a space helmet, and I'm going to start with one piece, and it's going to wrap around my head, and I'm going to put parts on top. I have a basic design in mind, even if I didn't exactly sketch it out on a piece of paper, which if you're doing something more complicated is a really good idea to sketch it out. And then cut. Well, I'm ahead of the game on that one as well. I have cut these pieces that I know I'm going to need. If I were to use a bottle, like an empty 2-liter bottle for a face shield, I would have cut that out as well and had the basic parts and pieces ready and available. And then you build it. So that is what we're going to do. All right, I'm going to come off of the slideshow here. I'm going to leave the Q&A section up so that we can have our conversation going while we're building. But if you have your materials and you're ready to get started, let's go. And if not, if you don't have the materials with you right now and you just want to follow along, that's totally okay too. So this is not very bendable right now. You can see it is kind of stiff. A great way to get rid of that stiffness in cardboard is you can run it along the edge of a table like this. Push down hard here, and then you pull down, and it starts to break the cardboard just a little bit, and it gets more flexible. I'm going to do that a couple times, a couple different ways. Move this stuff out of the way so I'm not knocking it over. Oh, one last really cool thing. If you have, it's known as different things. I grew up knowing this as a space blanket, and this is really cool stuff. It's super light, super reflective, but also you can't see me through that, but I can see you. This is actually see-through. If you were to, and this is very similar to the material that the astronauts use on their helmets to protect them from very harsh sunlight. So I've made helmets, and Diego has made helmets where we have this on the faceplate. We can see out, but others cannot see in. So I have some of this here. That is so loud. I won't use that very much during this broadcast so that you can actually hear me. All right, I'm gonna break this cardboard a little bit. I literally broke that cardboard. That works. Still long enough to wrap around my head? Yes! Actually, that's a really accidentally perfect length. Let's see here. Does it fit all the way over? It does. That's really good news. I don't have it fit super tightly around the crown of my head because I do want it to be able to go all the way down over my head and kind of rest on my shoulders there. I'm going to run this over the table a few times, get it nice and loose. But it's still strong enough, it's not going to fall apart as we do stuff with it. Great, that works. I think I'm going to take this extra tape off. All about how it looks. These space helmets are not actually going to protect you in the vacuum of space. They're just going to look cool, but that's okay. Got to start somewhere. I'm going to cut this in half now down the middle so that I have two strips of the same length. Being careful to keep my fingers out of harm's way. I'm not very good at cutting in a straight line. I'll be very honest about that. So I don't know if they would want me to be the one to build an actual space helmet, but I sure will have fun designing and building my own. There we go. We now have two strips of the same length. I'm going to tape these so that they form a couple of circles. I'm going to bend that a few more times. Great, nice and flexible. I'm going to take the black duct tape, cut off a longer strip of this. There we go. Great. That holds, and then I'll just wrap the tape around several times to make it a nice, tight, secure binding. Oof. There we go. All right. That fits comfortably down and goes down to my shoulders there. I'm very happy with that. This will be the bottom of my helmet. This will be the crown. This will be what kind of goes up here-ish. And this a few more times. Let me catch up on the Q&A here. Okay, I hope a number of you are able to follow along here. I'm so glad we have such a large audience here today. While we have a moment, why doesn't everyone pop into the Q&A section where you're from? Let's see all the different locations that are tuning in today. I'm in Oregon, so we've got the kind of northwest of the West Coast covered. Let's see where everyone else is from. Austin, Texas. All right. It's probably a little bit hotter in Austin, Texas than it is here right now. We have Seattle and Indiana, Brisbane, California, Pakistan, more Texas, Philadelphia, Massachusetts. Oh man, this is such a diverse crowd. I love it. I love having a wide variety of locations represented in these webinars. Okay. Let's tape this here. At the end of the webinar here, I'm going to put the email address where you can send in. I would love it if you would take some photos of what we built today and send those photos to me. I would love to see what everyone made, see the differences in design, either out of choice or out of necessity. There's a great saying that necessity is the mother of invention. I forget who said that, so I'm going to steal that quote without saying who said it, because I don't know. But I feel like it's true. You know, sometimes when you just have to do something no matter what, you get pretty creative. Okay, here we go. Boop, that works. All right, we got people tuning in from Oregon and Springfield, Virginia. Hey, I lived there for a couple of years. Beaverton, Oregon, Mexico. Oh yeah, okay, cool. So we're gonna start using some of these strips here to kind of make some distance between these two. That's obviously far too much, but I wonder if I cut one of these in half. Yep, that'll work. And if it doesn't, then we'll try something else until that works. Has anyone ever tried to fix something and you have no idea what you're doing, but you have certainty that you can fix it? And you just keep trying new things until it works. And then people compliment you. And you're like, thanks, I have no idea what I'm doing, but it works in the end. Kind of looks like Thor's helmet from Thor Ragnarok. I'll take it. Let's secure these on here. I think I will secure them on the outside. This is where the hot glue really comes in handy. I do wish I had thought to bring some today, but just a piece of tape, securing that there. Yeah, you can see in the angle of the light there. I'm gonna add another strip to reinforce it, but I also wrapped it around the bottom here to the underside, just to keep it from coming off. One of the really cool things about space suits and space helmets is that they are all individually designed and made. Even if you're using the same design, it's going to be a little bit different every single time, and every single spacesuit and space helmet item that is actually used up in space was made by hand by people. Not a lot of that process is automated. They're going to take the fabric and all the stitching, everything like that. A spacesuit has something like 13 or 14 different layers to it. It's all done by hand, all made by real live human beings, not machines. I think it's really cool. All right. I'm going to do basically the exact same thing as I did on the last side. Oops, too far up. go. I don't know how far into this space helmet build we're going to get today, but we're going to get farther than we would if we had never started. We can always pick it up and continue it. Okay, cool. So that seems about right. I'm now going to attach the second piece. That's a good start. Okay. Let's attach that second piece up there. Think on the inside. Good. It's not as graceful as I had first imagined. Okay, there we go. It's a little bit better. It's always nice to give yourself some extra tape to fold over. Just secures it a bit better, keeps it from peeling away. As soon as it begins to peel, you're kind of in trouble. You start to lose some of the integrity of the strength there. It would be amazing if Diego had been able to join me today, because I found that with projects like this, you're working with your hands, you're working with materials, you don't have your phone out. You might be listening to some music or something like that, which is pretty great at a time like this, but it's a great time for conversation. If there's anyone out there who is doing this with friends or with family together, it's a great time to have a good conversation. No one's on their phone. No one's watching YouTube. You can just have a good chat, which I'm doing by myself with you. Looks a little crooked, doesn't it? Yeah, that's all right. Seal it there. Fold the extra tape over. Okay, let's try this. All right, we're off to a good start. This feels a little unfirm, a little breakable right now. I'm gonna add some tape on there. Yep. Just to kind of strengthen that a little bit. It doesn't have to look perfect. It doesn't have to look great. It doesn't need to be super symmetrical, which means, you know, equal on both sides. So if you cut it in half, both halves would look the same. That's just a design choice that I'm making for my own right now. Okay, good. I kind of like that. I want to strengthen the insides here as well. I've made a lot of these. I've made probably 1 or 2 dozen. What would you say, Diego? Does that sound about right? Why, yes, it does. See, great conversation starter, all this. And every single one is a little bit different. Some are a lot of it different. Kind kind of depends on the materials that you have to hand. It depends on how long you have to do it. We one time took an old keyboard and we pried the keys off the keyboard and we were gluing those onto these. That looked really cool. Okay, great. Now I'm going to start to build over the top, build the top dome. For that, we are going to use these strips here. And again, they're too rigid, they're too stiff right now. We're gonna hold those down over the table and loosen them up. Cardboard really is a great substance. It's a great material. It's abundant, there's tons of it around. It's durable, strong, biodegradable. You throw it out and it's not going to sit in the environment for 10,000 years. Extremely recyclable. Good stuff. All right, this is much better, much easier to work with now. There we go. All right. Didn't we just make this more flexible than this? There. Okay, there we go. That's better. Seems about right. That's super tall. We don't need all that material on there. Let's bring it down. Let's do it more like that. Let's see how that looks. Notice I'm following the 3 steps of engineering: design, cut, build. Before I'm cutting, I'm designing, even if that design is, try it on your head and see if it looks weird. Okay, I like that a lot better. So that was design. There's another old saying, which is measure twice, cut once. It's good to take your time. You can't uncut something, at least not cardboard. We'd have to tape it back together. Wouldn't be as strong, wouldn't be as good. Measure twice, cut once. You can be careful in what you do and save yourself a lot of time. So I just measured that twice, cutting it once. If you're not sure on how long it needs to be, cut it a little bit longer than it has to be if you're not sure. Because you can always cut it again to cut it shorter, but you can't add that length back on. I'm happy with that. Let's tape. Let us fasten it. First piece of tape here, I'm going to put just an initial binding piece. Let's see, let's have that right in the middle there. Good. And I'll wrap that tape down and under. Do the same thing on the other side. Then we'll make sure it doesn't fall off after that. Here we go. Tape on the front, wrap it under. Okay. Now I'm going to take a longer piece and put it over all that. I think that my elementary school art teacher would be very happy with me right now. For 2 reasons. One, I'm actually using all these lessons that she taught me over the years. And also, I'm not melting crayons on the radiator, which I definitely did in art class, and I apologized to her at the end of the year. All right. Okay, that looks great. Let's add some more strips over the top to kind of seal it up. Let's see, some bigger strips like this. Yeah. Great. That'll work. Okay, and we have someone tuning in from London. Yes. All right, and Evan said, I can't wait until we come up with machines to make spacesuits. I kind of agree with you, but I think a good balance is there. Now, we definitely do use machines in part to make spacesuits. Making the materials that we build the spacesuits with, using machines to weave very exactly designed fabrics. Definitely can and do use machines for that and want to. All spacesuits have they have cooling coils inside of them, cooling and heating coils, and we want machines to help print those properly. But then with the assembly, I would feel better knowing that it was a teamwork of computerized work and humans building my spacesuit. Just make me feel better, you know? There's things that the human eye and the human mind will think of and see that a computer won't. Okay, measuring here. I like that. Measure twice. Cut once. That's just a little bit of extra, just in case. Keeping all these scraps too, these might be useful later on. Okay, that'll work. I'm going to take the next one, measure it against this, and cut it to the exact same length so I can use it on the other side. Okay, good. How much time do we have? We have 6 minutes left. We are going to do what we can with these 6 minutes, and then I'm going to continue this helmet off the air after we're done here today. And in tomorrow's space science webinar, I'll show you what I made. And I hope that I have some pictures from all of you that you have sent to me that I can share with the group as well. Now, I have another question for all of you. The webinar for tomorrow says space science. I have not specified what space science we're going to cover because I wanted to ask you here today, what would you like to talk about? And that's an open, it's kind of an open-ended question, but I meant to do that. I meant to leave it a little bit open. What interests you about space that you would like to learn more about? Would you like to learn more about, oh, that's too long. I'm gonna shorten it down a little bit. Would you like to learn about the planets in our solar system and why Pluto is not considered a planet? I agree that Pluto is not a planet. It's great. It's a great thing. It's just not a planet. Sorry, Pluto. Would you like to learn about stars and how they're formed and what happens to them over the process of their life? What determines if a star is going to live long or if it's going to have a short, quick life? All right. All right, Alette says, what type of cool looking things are in space? And are there geodes on any planets? All right, that's a two-part question. Are there any cool looking things in space? Oh yeah. Are there geodes on other planets? That is an amazing question. I'm going to take a guess at that answer right now. And I'm going to guess that the answer is yes. Because it's a naturally occurring set of circumstances on Earth that produces a geode. And if you take those same circumstances on any other planet, I think you're going to get the same result. But we're going to need scientists to go out there. We're going to need geologists to go out there and explore other worlds, to explore the planets and moons of our solar system in order to look for and find those things. Or even more likely is to help design, build, and operate robotic rovers and probes to go out into our solar system and do that exploration for us. It's a lot safer to send a robot than to send a human. For one thing, you don't need the robots to come back. All right, Milo wants to learn more about planets and our galaxy. Okay. Meteorites, stars. Evan wants to talk about aliens. I would love to talk about aliens. The only thing that we can talk about aliens, though, is fiction. Because as of this moment in time, life on planets other than Earth, moons other than Earth, is not known. So I would only be able to speculate, to make some guesses about that. Okay, yeah, that looks pretty good there. Let's do that. Cut this a little bit shorter. Boop. All right, the NASA space station, good. Astra is interested in both Pluto and star life. Okay, good. Life on Mars, yeah. Atmosphere of space. Black holes, okay, great. Sounds like a lot of you are interested in the same things that I am when it comes to space, which is good because that means I have some information I can share with you about it. I can tell you a couple things about Pluto really quick in the 2 minutes that we have left today as I'm putting the final touches on the outline of this helmet. There's a couple things that Pluto doesn't do that we have decided planets should do in order to be called a planet. If we took the same definition, the same characteristics that Pluto has, and we called anything that matches that a planet, our solar system would have, I don't know, 12, 15 planets, maybe a ton more than that as we continue to get better and better observations of the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, and especially the Kuiper belt out beyond the orbit of Neptune, which is where Pluto lives. But, I think I'm about to put a bad piece of tape on there. Nope, that works. Pluto is pretty small. Pluto is smaller than our own moon, which is fine. But it's so small that it has, when it orbits its own moon, it's far more wobbly. The center of the gravity between Pluto and its moon Charon is actually outside of the diameter of Pluto itself. So Pluto doesn't just do this. Pluto is doing this as it orbits because it's getting pulled by its moon. It's just, it doesn't have enough mass to really hold its own out there. It's one of several reasons. Okay, so this is about as much as I can do on this today. I think we're off to a really good start here. I will be able to take this base and continue to build it out. I'm going to do some more up here to just kind of cap it off. I'm going to put cardboard around the back, and then I'm going to find a clear, empty 2-liter bottle, clean it out, and put the shield, the face shield in the front. Now, a lot of us are being told to wear masks or face shields when we're around other people right now, and I think that's a really good idea because, you know, I don't want to accidentally spread illness to others if I have it and don't realize it. Well, if we're going to put a face shield on this, then that would absolutely work. So maybe I'll go with a more kind of a Darth Vader look to it. Start walking around the grocery store with that. We'll see. All right. Thank you so much for all of your input on what you would like to talk about. I'm going to find a topic that is relevant. Okay, you know what? Let's talk about the planets of our solar system tomorrow. That's what we're talking about. We're going to talk a little bit more about Pluto and why, even without counting Pluto, we might have 9 planets in our solar system. Did you know that there's a possible 9th planet out there way past Neptune? Let's learn about that tomorrow. Okay, I will see you all then. I want to do a final thank you to Heron Books. We use a lot of their curriculum in these webinars. And even when we're not teaching directly from their curriculum, we're using basic ideas about education that Heron Books uses and follows in creating their curriculum, making sure that you understand the words that you're using, making sure that you actually have the thing that you're studying in front of you instead of just reading about it. There's some really great stuff in there. If you haven't checked out heronbooks.com, I highly recommend it. And we'll see you all. If you're sticking around, you'll see, I think Adam and Remy are coming up in a little bit with some music, and I'll see you tomorrow for more space science.